A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us for the Friday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Let me give you a quick rundown of what to expect on the show. We'll continue with our countdown to the biggest sporting event in the world. Let's talk about the Olympics. We'll tell you what you need to know about the Olympics, how the international sports federations are gearing up for the big one. We'll also take a look at the second stanza of the Nigeria Professional Football League as it begins this weekend. We'll take a step down, take a look at the Nigeria National League. Where we're also doing all of that, we'll talk about what's happening with UEFA, the likely scenario that the UEFA Champions League might not be played in Turkey. We'll look at all of that. We'll look at big games in Europe. We'll look at the statement UEFA has put out on the clubs that wanted to do the European Super League. So we'll talk about all of that. We'll also try to spice things up, give you a bit of tennis on the show, and hopefully we'll be able to, on a lighter note, laugh it off with Floyd Mayweather and YouTube star Logan Paul, some of the things they've been doing. Hopefully we'll get to do that as we probably end it on that note. But that's the outlook of the show tonight. At this point, I want to bring you into all that we're doing on the show. We've always told you how important you are to us. We're heavy on feedback. Let's know how you feel about all the things we're doing here. Talk to us tonight, Sports Tonight at channelstv.com. Send us a mail. On Facebook, drop your comment, Channel 7 Sports. Then tweet at us at channels_sports. That's how you can get your views across to us, and we will do justice to everything that you have to say. All right, I have 3 partners on the show tonight, 2 of them with me in the Lagos studio. Later on, I'm going to introduce my partner. The third partner who's going to be joining us, of course, you already know, is Austin Okon-Akpan. But before we do that, let me quickly introduce Damilola Onifade sitting right next to me. Damilola, thanks for joining me on the show tonight.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Yemi. Good to be back on this special night.
All right. Ikenna Okechukwendu also is here with me. Ikenna, thanks for finding time to be here.
I'm a regular on Fridays.
And it feels good. Yeah. It feels good to have you all in the studio tonight. But guys, let's start with the biggest sporting event in the world. And it's 77 days to go. Let's just give that to you officially from where we stand. 77 days to go. We're counting. We're counting. 77 days ago, less than 3 months to the Olympics. And usually when we do this, I always ask my partners, does it feel like it's 77 days to go? Ikenna, in a few words, 77 days, are you feeling the vibes?
We're not feeling it, actually.
Okay.
Because of all that has happened since last year.
All that has happened and all that is happening.
Yeah. But I think gradually it's going to happen. That's the good news. It's going to happen finally. So, and Japan, to give them their best, they give them their kudos. They are trying all their best to see if they can actually allow fans from within Tokyo, within Japan, to come and watch the show, because fans are what sports is all about. Yeah. You know, how they witness the show, the entertainment it brings. So we are glad it's going to happen. It's nobody's fault what has happened so far, but it's going to take place, and we're excited.
All right, Damilola, the touch relay, that's what we have on screen. They've got to the 20th of the 47 perfections they're going to get to. They are almost halfway. Of course, in some places, they find a way of keeping the fans away. Not the case here, because the fans came out. They're excited to see the touch.
I think that just answers your question, Yemi, that the Olympics, even despite all the negative impact that COVID-19 would have had on it, it's not everybody that has anything negative about the Olympics. Some people don't want it in this country for obvious reasons, for health reasons, which is not a bad thing. But again, I think the Olympics will come, and it will happen largely because of the resolve of the people, of the organizers, the IOC, and of course the media as well. I love the fact that the conversation around the Olympic has not at any point dropped, despite some of the negatives that seems that have affected it.
And guys, let me tell you one of the negatives. An online campaign has started. and they're calling it Stop Tokyo Olympics. They've been able to gather 218,000 signatures. Wow. But even telling you that, does it change what you just said?
It doesn't. I mean, that's what I just said, really, that some people don't want it. And that's a fact. We must acknowledge that. I think the responsibility of the IOC and the organizers is to convince them that these Olympics, having these Olympics is good. Because, you see, no matter what we think, no matter what we want to do, no matter the fear that we have in our minds concerning COVID-19 and how the Olympics can be a trigger for another wave, we must understand that at some point we need to move on with our lives.
Yeah.
And if at some point we will have to, why not now? Okay. Why not now? Let's just deal with it the way we'll have dealt with it at any point in our lives, and then move on with our lives.
All right, so that's it. We'll move on. Aniki, let me come to you quickly. We're talking about concerns here and there. And I talked about the sporting federations. World Athletics President Sepp Cole has met with the Tokyo governor. We're going to listen to him shortly. But of course, this meeting is all because of these things we're discussing. He understands that the residents of Tokyo and the people in Japan have every right to say, we don't want you guys to come.
Yeah, they do, because this goes beyond sports. This goes beyond the entertainment you are going to see. It has, the significance is the health risks, the issues. Look at what's happening in India. Look at what's happening and we're going to get into it about Turkey. Just mentioned it in the news release. So there is beyond sports. So it's not just a meeting with the Sabasinko and the rest of them. It also has to do with the health workers, the people in charge of the health facilities in Japan. How are they going to cope with the influx of people that are going to come?
All right.
So it's going to be a difficult. It's something that everybody has to sit down and agree on what should be done.
All right, Ahmad Austin Konakwan joins us now. Of course, we'll be talking about all of these things and also talking about the exciting news about Team Nigeria seeking to qualify for the relays. But first, let me welcome Austin. Greetings to you. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Sporting greetings, Yemi. Good to be on the show. Shout out to everyone watching us from different parts of the world. Always a delight.
All right, you listen to us. Your take. I mean, you listen to Sepp Cole. It was almost like accepting fate, not in its entirety, but he recognizes the situation and he knows that, look, these guys, if they pull the plug, I mean, nobody can question them.
That's what it is, you know. I really don't envy the likes of Sebastian Coe, Thomas Bach, all the officials at the International Olympic Committee and the main organizing committee for the Olympics in Tokyo. These are very difficult times. Times that even public relations cannot do anything for you. Times that requires top-notch problem-solving skills, you know, because the Olympics is the coming together of countries. The Olympics has a major objective of unifying the world, and that's why the host community is very important that they key into that message of the Olympics. So if Tokyo and the whole of Japan, they are giving you vibes like, yeah, it means like I'm coming to your house and I'm asking you, when can I come? And you're saying, let me get back to you. Let me get back to you. I'm not sure I'll be available. I'll feel like, oh, maybe he doesn't want me to come. But these are the times that COVID has put the world into. So it's really difficult. I told you sometime last month, a top official of from the ruling party in Japan said, guys, look, let's be realistic. Let's call off this thing, you know? And if persons are signing petitions now to call off the Olympics, what can Sebastian Coe, Thomas Bach, what can they do? Athletes who really want to compete, what can they do? When the host country themselves, they're living in uncertainty because of COVID-19. So it's really tough. I'd love the Olympics to happen. But, you know, I'm the guy that comes around and tells you that, look, safety is very important because the world has suffered. We cannot afford to be ignorant anymore here.
All right, quick one, Austin. Let's quickly talk about Team Nigeria. We've chosen to make things difficult for ourselves. We want to take the hard way. Let me put it that way. We want to pass through the hard way. And the hard way has become the only way, and we must pass through it. But they've landed in Texas as they seek to get a ticket for the relay competitions. How optimistic are you with the chances of our relay teams?
Very optimistic, just because I know that whenever Nigerian athletes have an opportunity to represent their country, they put their soul, body, spirit, and mind into it, give top-notch, performance. That's why it's so disappointing. And I came out to talk about it. I'm disappointed with the ministry and the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. You cannot let administration pause the dreams of young stars, particularly the likes of those that are just coming up. Mabong, as she has done so well in the last 4 years with athletics, to want a stable athletics house that is in tune with the ministry, that has a unity of purpose to progress. Grace has done so well with her career. And so the mistake of Poland, ministry says is due to visa issues. The other AFL says is because of ministry. So we are glad they're in Texas now, and they have an opportunity to qualify for the release from this tour in Texas. So I just want to wish them all the best.
All right.
16 of them, 2 officials are led by Coach Gabriel Okon. I love Team Nigeria all day, every day. We know we have the talent, we have dedicated athletes. It's just leadership.
All right.
Bad administration that is letting us down. I hope that this time around it is going to change. That's why I keep charging the ministry under the leadership of Mr. Sunday Dare. Take charge.
Okay.
Let's look at the bigger picture. We're going to the Olympics.
All right.
This is not how Team Nigeria should be looking for qualification.
Okay. All right. Guys, I want you to pitch in. Let me start with Damilola. Let's forget about the backstory. In Texas, how optimistic are you? Like I said, the hard way has become the only way.
I wish I'm as optimistic as Austin is. Austin says because he's optimistic because Nigerian athletes will give their best, their heart, and I think every athlete around the world will do that. And that's why it goes beyond that.
Mm-hmm. Your best must be enough.
It must be enough. We've made it difficult, like you said. I can only hope that the best that these athletes will give at this time will be good enough to get us to the Olympics. But if we don't, the minister, to some extent, the 2 factions of the FN must take responsibility for this failure if we don't.
Okay, 3 parties now.
3 parties, maybe even more.
Maybe even more. Okay, Ikena, but I'm hoping that the unfortunate situation of not getting into those 5 events will not happen to Nigeria.
I don't think so. I think I have to be optimistic. Let's all is weather ends well. Mm-hmm. So let's see what they can do in Texas and see how they can. And I'm very, very optimistic again about the athletics event in the Tokyo Olympics, because we seem to be getting it back again with the caliber of athletes we have right now. The Divine, the Blessing, and the rest of them. So I think relay is one of our strong points going into the Olympics.
Yes.
Always. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we will fail at the final hurdle, but I think there's a chance for them to get there and get that qualification. It's very, very important for us, because it's one of those, when you are playing some of these games, you play your joker. So this is one of those events that will play a joker we might get a medal from.
All right, but you have to qualify. You have to qualify.
I know I'm very optimistic they will qualify.
Okay, all right. This is hoping that Team Nigeria will get to, qualify for those events, 4x100 men, women, 4x400 men, women, and the mixed relays as well. Hopefully, we'll get to do well. I mean, you can see the guys landing in Texas, smiles on their faces. Hopefully, they'll get the job.
Just to chip in, I think the infighting in Nigerian sports is just getting too much. Mm-hmm. Everywhere.
It's everywhere, really.
It's everywhere. And if you really like the sports, if you really like the sports you're representing, you shouldn't be suffering.
Allowing the
actors of the. If without them, you can't even be a leader of this. You can't be the president. You can't be anything in this day. Why should they always suffer because of your infighting?
Some will argue. Some will argue if they've been cheated and skimmed out, they have a right
for the love of the game. You can step back. Let the
take yourself out of the scene.
Out of the scene. Find another thing to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
that's a strong one. Find something else to do. That's again now. All right, let's move on. We have a couple of minutes before we'll go on a break. But guys, I know you're very excited, and I mean everybody can understand the reason for the excitement. Second stanza of the NPFL this weekend. Everything returns. Now we have the opportunity to be talking about, and we're looking forward to impressive matches. That's will be played. And I'm happy that the clubs by themselves, because there were rumors flying around, are we going to have an bridge? Are we, you know, some were already throwing it out. I'm not saying it was deliberated upon anywhere, but I'm saying, you know, social media, you already...
No. TAF said that they are going to play the... In fact, every league should have their leagues completed before 30th of June, right?
Yeah.
So there was panic in the air.
There was panic, you know. But let me run through these fixtures and I'll allow you guys talk about it. Warri Wolves to take on Kano Pillars. We're going to talk about Kano Pillars shortly. I mean, Ahmed Musa is going to begin his second stint with Pillars. FC Fayumba will take on MFM. Jigawa Golden Stars will take on Lobi Stars. Aqua United will take on Sunshine. Rivers United will take on Dakar. These are some of the fixtures for match day 20 as the second stanza begins. Plateau United will take on Abia Warriors. That's why United will take on Kwara United. Damawa United will be up against Heartland. Then Katsina United will take on Wiki Tourist. All of these matches for match day 20. Let me see if we still have some time. That's the man in your picture, the man of the moment. I'm very sure a lot of people will ignore COVID-19 protocols, guidelines, and rules just to get the opportunity to see this man file out for Pillars. That's if he's going to be playing away matches anyway. But, I mean, how excited are you, Ikena, that we get blessed, someone who is currently the captain of the Super Eagles, to be plying his trade with a domestic, with his side on the domestic league?
He's a world star. He's a big star. He's done it on the world stage. We are privileged to have him in the league. So, but I think we should milk it as much as we can.
Yeah.
You know, his presence, using branding, using communication, we should make it as we can. And talking about traveling for away games, I think he will play games that are closer home.
That region.
In that region. Against Plateau, I think Plateau United are expecting him. Maybe probably if they're going to play Katsina United and the rest of them. Because Kano Pillars travel by road. So I don't think he will be, the risk and everything, I don't think he will travel by road with them. But once it's the home games, he'll be there. And very, very unfortunately, we don't have crowds in the stadium. Very, very unfortunate at this time. The Kano, it will be filled to the rafters. But we are privileged to have him. We'll follow his progress. And definitely, is going to help the league, boost the league. Everybody will be watching around the world because you see the world star.
You know, we're going to talk a lot about Kano Pillars and Ahmed Musa, but we need to go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, we'll take a look at some of the things happening. We'll talk about the NLL, of course, move on to talk about what's happening in the UEFA Champions League and Europe, the decision on the clubs that wanted to form the Super League. John Skin.
And any one of the Nigerian Premier League is a great pleasure to all the Nigerian Football Federation because if you are playing against any team, so they will not take it for granted, and we too will not take it for granted because we have the great player in the team. So we have to work hard to see every match we did well, because if you fail, they say we fail with a great player in Nigerian in the national team as a captain. So that is why we tell the people, even the players who are did training with the Ahmed Musa, and they should work hard to copy from him, because he's a great player and he's motivated the player. Whenever we are training, he encourages them to do what they're supposed to do in the training. It's like a leader in the team.
All right, if the Kano Pillars coach, of course, speaking highly of Ahmed Musa and what he expects him to bring a lot of those players, happy to have Musa around. Before I get to Austin, let me get Damilola's thoughts. He has told us to milk it. We're going to milk it. We're going to come back every week. If Ahmed Musa scores, if he doesn't score, it's news. We're going to talk about it. If he plays for 20 minutes, it's news.
He's injured, big story.
If he's injured, it's news. So surely we're going to milk it. And I hope that we'll use the opportunity to get some things right.
Yeah, I hope we use the opportunity. That's all. It's as simple as that. For me, one of the things I thought we would also leverage on with the Musa, he also alluded to it, is the fact that I was hoping that we'll start the second stanza with the LMC, the NFF, meeting with the NCDC and probably finding a way to get limited number of fans to the stadium. Because for me, I don't like the fact that we want to start the league. We said there is no fans, but we've been having fans. So why not make it official?
If you want to be sincere.
Why not make it official and have a limited number?
If it is 10%, 5%.
Because, like you said, we'll make the Musa story every angle. For example, if it goes on an away ground and the stadium is jam-packed, it's another story. But then the question is, what kind of story do we want out of this?
If General comes to watch him play, story.
It's a story. The next list of the Super Eagles, if he's still playing for Kano Pillars and then suddenly an home-based player is now the captain of the Super Eagles, is another angle.
Sure.
So we definitely
and it can happen.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Yeah. At the moment, that's actually valid. If you say an home-based player is the Super Eagles captain, it's a valid thing to say.
You're right.
So it's different angles to this.
Even the official is here to keep the ball for...
I hope those in charge of Kano Pillars, in charge of the league, know how to handle this kind of situation and handle the communication properly, that the league can leverage on it for its own good.
All right, let me get Austin's thoughts. I'm very sure Austin is excited as well, and a lot of people will milk the Musa angle to the league. And I also hope maybe a lot of guys in the twilight of their careers as well will be able to come back on. But a quick one, Austin, before we go to the Nigerian National League. The chances of seeing Musa don the colours off pillars and the fans coming to see him, an home-based player, be the captain of the Super Eagles.
Beautiful. It's a fantastic feeling, particularly for those Kano Pillars fans. I remember covering Ahmed Musa when he was playing for Kano Pillars and featured for Nigeria. I think it was the Wafu B at Ijebu-Ode. And right there, you could tell that he was someone who was ambitious about making a good career. So it was really good, hearing that he was returning to Kano Pillars. Yes, COVID-19, in its usual form that has been these days, didn't make it such a big deal. But we didn't leverage on it enough. If Kano Pillars is not leveraging on it, then I expected the league management company to do more. Can you remember when Small Theo Walcott went back to Southampton? Do you know how much of a noise they did about it? So it tells us that we are still lacking behind in those little details that makes a difference. Simple things that will make our league admirable, give it some followership, particularly these days of shares, likes, tweets, and retweets. Takes nothing. It will just be good. This is the highest goal scorer for Nigeria at the World Cup. This is a man who has played for big clubs in Europe that's come with so much branding, so much, that we can use, to actually make some good noise about the Nigeria Professional Football League. I really do hope that we'll learn that sometimes, it takes nothing to just take a step. It might not take you to where you're going, but just take that little step towards, making something different. Right. So it'd be good to see Kano Pillars, play with Ahmed Musa. They weren't so bad last time, particularly when coach Emmanuel Sokaya left. They started proving to us that, it wasn't a problem. In fact, with their results, it showed that he was the problem. Yeah. So we can't with Ahmed Musa in the mix now, let's see what they can do with him. And hopefully we're going to see some good football and get some major talking points with his presence in the league.
All right, that's what we all hope for. Let's take a step down now and talk about the Nigerian National League. When I say step down, no disrespect to the Nigerian National League. I just had to put that in perspective. Let's quickly take a look at the fixtures. My partners will run through it. We'll talk about it as fast as we can. Guys, let's start with Division A1. Mighty Jets will take on El Kanemi Warriors. Green Berets will take on EFCC. Gombe United will take on NAF Rockets. Of course, guys, any one of these fixtures that jump at you, you can quickly chip in. Then you have Shokoro United will be playing as well. Division A to Shekarao Babes up against Kebbi United. Malum Fashi will try on Yobedeza Stars for Size. DMD and Samfara United. Road Safety and Kogi United. Niger Tornadoes will take on ABS. These two teams used to be in the top flight a couple of years ago. And B1 now, this is where there's so much talk. I can even see Damilola pointing his fingers already. That is it. that is it. And I'm very sure the guys in the studio will talk about. But let's go through it. Van Dresser taking on Shooting Stars. A lot of people want to see this, especially now that Van Dresser is back in the family. Although we'll listen to what Calabar Rovers have to say when the NNL clarified the issues about TV broadcast. Of course, one of the teams playing in that Division 2 has one or two things to say. We'll listen to that later on. But Calabar Rovers will be up against Go Round. Giant Brilliants will be up against Osun United. This match is in Group B1. You have Ekiti United will take on Stationary Stores. Newi United will take on Dynamo Force. Nilayo FC will take on Delta Force. This is B1. Let's go to B2 and see what's going to. Okay, we'll leave it at that for now. We'll probably talk about that one. But Abdullah, you're so eager to point your finger at those fixtures when you saw it.
Yeah, Van Dresser Shooting Stars in Lagos. That's a big fixture, any day, any time. Not necessarily because of the size of the two clubs. Of course, Shooting Stars is a traditional club as far as Nigerian football is concerned. Van Dresser came into the scene and they came with a different buzz entirely. Yep. There have been one or two controversies here and there, but it's good enough. That has been sorted. I mean, they came back and they started playing back last week. But it's a big fixture. Bingili says that, for me, I want to see Shooting Stars back in the top flight. I honestly believe that there is something that having our traditional teams play in the top league can do for the image of the league in terms of selling the league itself, the commercial value of it. When you have some of your big players, I would like to see a Shooting Stars back, if possible, a Stationary Stores in the top league, a Mighty Jet, if it's possible. These are traditional
maybe
clubs.
ABS. Maybe I said maybe. I said maybe. I said maybe. I didn't put them on that same pedestal. I said maybe.
The way I looked at you.
It would be nice to have those clubs. And Shooting Stars have been doing well this season.
Yes.
Let's see the kind of
guys, can we jump ahead of ourselves and say, at this point, who do you think can get that ticket up there? Shooting Stars are looking good.
They should get it.
They should get it. They should get, and something I wanted to point out is somehow, when you were reading out the
they almost
fixtures,
got it the last time, if not for the...
When you're reading out the fixtures, you find out that Group B1 is where the news is.
All the time.
All the time. Van Dresser's issue, Shooting Stars winning almost all their games.
United,
so that's where the focus is. And I think Shooting Stars with the form, unless they start dropping points right now, they went, how many games? They lost only one game in that first stanza. They lost only one game. So they have that, it's in their hands to pick that ticket.
All right. All right.
And I believe they'll beat Van Dresser in Lagos.
Before we listen to Austin and he'll give us a stake, I do know you may not want to admit it, but he does have some sentimental attachments to Van Dresser, and he will explain to us when we get to him. But let's listen to the Calabar Rovers chairman have his say on the issue about TV broadcast, especially now that the NNL has made it clear nobody should disturb anybody with 8 cameras. 8 cameras is what people talk about now in local panels. But let's listen to the Calabar Rovers chairman. I'll come back for more. Sports Tonight.
We are not under any pressure. We're actually doing what we think is right for us to do. And for now, I don't think the team is doing that badly. In the first stanza, we finished and we're third on the table. The people who were second were just a goal difference ahead of us. So I don't think we're under any pressure. We have done what is right, and we think it is left for the boys to see how they can deliver, knowing fully well that this is what they do to earn a living. I don't see it as any problem at all. You see, sometimes some of these things happen. I think the management of the NNL actually didn't put things right. And for now, they have seen where they actually made a mistake. They wrote a letter to us, all the clubs, and stated on the letter that every team is entitled to 2 cameras, the home and away team. So if you want to streamline your matches, between me and you know that you don't need 100 cameras to streamline your matches. So NNL would have also written back to the club stating that any team who comes with 100 cameras should also be allowed. we're only trying to stand our grounds based on the letter that was issued to us, that 2 cameras per match. But hence they have reversed it and written to us officially that any team that is coming, even if they're coming with 100 cameras, should be allowed. For me, cameras are not the ones that are playing football. The most important thing is get a good team. When you get a good team, you can always play. So I think we have agreed at the club level that any team who has more than 10 cameras can also come with them. And our matches, streamlining our matches is also a very good idea, not just for the home team or the away team. It's good for the Nigerian football because it's going to expose some of the dirty things that happen in the Nigerian football, especially officiating.
All right. I'm trying to restrain myself. I like the last part of what he said, but I'll allow Austin pitch in now. You listen, and all the issues about you can bring cameras, you can't bring cameras, I think it's all settled now. But some will say there are experts in these things, people who know all the loopholes. But I'm hoping that after this, there won't be issues. But I don't know what you think, Austin.
So yeah, I listened to the chairman of Calabar Rovers, and it was going, up and down, back and forth, so I didn't really get what he was saying. The NNL says bring cameras, and I know to cover a football match, for instance, the finals of the Channels International Kids Cup, sometimes we deploy as much as 8 to 10 cameras because this is football. People are moving and they want to get different angles. So I like that Van Dresa, and let's set the record straight. No sentimental attachment to Van Dresa. I just love development. I'm a developmental journalist. As long as there's development inside it. I like what Onifade said. He said it came with some buzz. When you look at Group B1 in the NNL, what's Van Dresa in that mix? Where you have Shooting Stars, you have Go Round, you have Calabar Rovers, you have Ekiti United, stationary stores. What's Van Dresa? But they just invested in digital communication and everyone is talking about them. That's where we need to reflect. That's where the business owner is thinking about being out there first. That's all it is. Investing in it. So if we've got clubs that are traditional, that have got name, and they're doing nothing about their name, then it tells you that we are not ready to grow. We're not ready to make progress. So if the NNL is saying now that because of what has happened with Van Dresa, bring in cameras, shoot. Okay, let's not even talk about it exposing anything, Van Dresa, after every match, they make highlights available for the media. Isn't it good for us as media persons first, and then for the league? For instance, they went to Dynamite first in their last match. They lost 1-0, but scored a clean goal. Everyone saw it because they had cameras there to shoot it. Clean pictures. Saw that it was a goal. Referee said it's not a goal. They didn't die. They didn't hurt. Yes, they only protest. Dynamo Force came to Lagos to beat Van Dresa 3-1. The game is fair play. So these are little ways we can start in developing league football in Nigeria. And I love it, and I think we should support it. And we should say shout out to whoever is coming to bring something different to the league. So all the clubs, there are clubs in that league that can do more than what Van Dresa is doing because they've got the financial clout.
Okay.
Why are they not doing it?
All right.
The story about the NNL needs to be televised. We need to talk about it more because it is from the NNL that we get to the NPFL. So if, for instance, if Van Dresa can do what they are doing in the NNL, come on, bruv. Think about what they will do if they come to the NPFL. Just think.
Yeah. And it's not hard to imagine what that will be. All right, let's move on the show. Let's spend a minute or two to look at the last division in that CADA division, match 13 for Division B2. Let's see that quickly and move on. Let's just tell you there's a live game currently going on in the English Premier League. When we're done with the National League, we'll let you know what's happening. But it appears like Leicester are receiving a drubbing as we speak. So Division B2 quickly. Holy Arrows will take on Bendel Insurance. Abia Comets will take on Joy Comet. Ibom Youth will take on Remo Stars. These are some of the fixtures in Division B2. Of course, Bayelsa United will take on Crown FC of Ogbomosho. Godowski will take on Julius Atete. FC1 Rocket will take on Apex Crane. Okay, so that's it. All right, guys, let's quickly move on from the Nigeria National League and talk about what's happening in Europe. Let's quickly tell you that UEFA has approved reintegration measures for the 9 clubs involved in the so-called Super League. The matter of the other clubs involved in the Super League will be referred to the UEFA disciplinary body. What that says is that, that's a quote from the UEFA president, Alexander Seferin, and I'm going to read that to you quickly so that you can get a gist of what he said. And of course, he says this club recognized their mistakes quickly and have taken action to demonstrate their contrition. The same cannot be said for the clubs that remain involved in the so-called Super League, and UEFA will deal with those clubs subsequently. You know, we deal with clubs subsequently involved in the so-called Super League, and UEFA will deal. You're looking at all of this, and they also say these clubs. Okay, so that's the message from Seferin. Basically, some clubs have put out statements to say, look, we're sorry for what we did. Some have not issued, up till now, have not issued any statement. And there are fears that the Super League can come back in one shape or form later on, especially with the 2 Spanish clubs that appear not to have said anything.
We seem to forget something. This is business. I think hypocrisy is smelling everywhere. I started watching football back in the days. When Premier League was about to start, they called it Greed is Good League. Greed is good. It was 22 teams in the Premier in the English League before. They cut it down to 20, increased the money, made the other lower leagues suffer. Yep. They're still suffering it. Some of the teams are going to administration. You moved to Champions League. Before in the Champions League, you see teams like PSV win the Champions League, FC Porto win the Champions League, Ajax win the Champions League.
It can't happen now.
It can't happen now.
They don't have the financial muscle.
The five teams of the top European nations twisted UEFA. They made 4 teams come out of those countries: France, England, Spain, Germany, and Spain. Now, those 5 teams...
They still want more.
They still want more. They are untwisting them. And they are going to do more with this Super League. Now, let's talk about the fans that are protesting. You sold your club to a billionaire. What do you expect from him? You understand what I'm saying? What do you expect from him?
Billionaire wants to make business.
He wants to make his business. Already, they sold the rights to stream those games live. I'm a football. I want to watch. I love underdogs. I want to watch teams from Norway win the Champions League. But still, it is going to come up again. This conversation didn't start today.
So UEFA has not solved this problem?
They cannot solve the problem. It's going to raise its head again.
Damola, quickly, when these clubs accuse UEFA of greed, do you accept? Because they say, look, you have rebounded, you have balanced, you're making your money, we the clubs are suffering.
The key thing in what Zekena said, I agree to some extent with what he said, but he also alluded to the fact that each time these big clubs come with demand, UEFA find a way to shift the ground for them. And so what else do you want?
They're going to want
understand? More. Now, they're going to want more, but there must be a point where you also tell them that, guys, you cannot have more than this.
Time flies when you're having fun. Of course, we've just been told we're going to leave the studio in the next 4 minutes. We have a lot of ground to cover, but unfortunately, we're going to have to do that next week. Austin Okonakwan is still with us. Austin, your parting shot. It appears Newcastle is getting what they need. And just about a minute before the game ends, 4-2. Kelechi Iheanacho on the score sheet, but his side looks like they will lose. And that's going to be your parting shot. Your thoughts on this game?
It's really disappointing that the Leicester City took their eyes off the ball. You know, Newcastle trying to stay in the league to avoid the drop. So in the first half was already 2-0. They came back in the second half, 64th minute, made it 3-60. In the 74th minute, they made it 4. So Leicester started fighting. So they blinked. The moment they saw that we're 4-0 down at the King Power Stadium, was time running out of them. Albrighton scored 4-1. Kelechi Iheanacho, man on fire. Senior man Kels just scored now. So it's 4-2. But it is what it is. They're going to lose the match. And it's an important result for Newcastle.
Austin, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully we get to do this next week.
Always a delight to be on the show. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's do, because we don't have time, best of the rest. Atletico Madrid and Barcelona is going to play Chelsea and Man City. Take your pick. Let me start with Damiola as we go. Take your pick.
Win and just wrap up this title and focus on the Champions League.
Okay.
I want Barcelona to win, but I don't think they will do it.
All right. Ikena.
For morale, I think Chelsea will go out for it. They won't allow Man City to take the game. Atletico always drop the ball, so I'll pick Barcelona this time.
Okay. Both of you are saying the same thing. All right. Okay. All right. So that's a good place to leave it. And when the guys come back next week, we'll see whether their predictions turned out to be correct. Damlola Alufade, I want to thank you for your time on the show today. It's
always
nice
a pleasure.
doing this with you. Ikena Chikwendu.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here as well.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
All right. Austin was with us earlier. And so that's the show for today. It's a wrap. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back here again next week. And of course, till then, have a nice time. Do everything sporty that will make you be well. And of course, we'll be back here again to take you on the trip across the money spinning world of sports. I'm Emi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.